If you are interested in starting your own podcast, we use Buzzsprout because it is simple and easy to use. Buzzsprout can get your show listed on every major platform while giving you the resources for a great podcast website, audio players that can drop into other websites, detailed analytics to see how people are listening to your podcast, and tools to promote your episodes. Podcasting isn't hard when you have the right partners, and that is why over 100,000 podcasters are already subscribed to Buzzsprout to get their message out to the world. Following the link in our episode descriptions lets Buzzsprout know that we sent you. So in return, you will receive a $20 Amazon gift card from Buzzsprout while signing up for a paid plan. Most importantly, every subscription through our link is always appreciated and helps support our show so we can continue delivering the quality content that you guys listen to. That being said, back to the show.
Hello, and welcome to Comic Book Junkies. I'm Andrew.
This is Joe.
And this time we have a special guest with us. We've been teasing it for a little while now. We're finally all sitting down to record. You know, we're busy men. With us, friend of the pod, longtime guest, Juan. He's back, ladies and gentlemen. How's it going, Juan?
Good. Thanks for having me back.
Hell yeah. It's pretty cool to see all the giant stacks behind you, dude, in your little your office.
Yeah,
But
I've been working on trying to get the comic book man cave thing finished. So
hell yeah. Well, I like the setup now. No one can see you through all the short boxes, so just hanging out in your dungeon.
It's like a wall.
It looks powerful. We'll probably take a picture from this group chat and post it on our Instagram.
Yeah,
My man
sick.
has a wall of comics.
For real. But today we're gonna finally, get around to our trip that we took a little while back. We've been talking about it, beating around the bush. Time to finally discuss that a little bit in depth. The three of us took a trip up to Traverse City Cherry Con. Juan and I actually were able to hit up Big Ben's. Well, name drop. It was their 40th anniversary sale. Joe wasn't able to attend that day, but Juan and I made out like bandits. And then we also recently, in case you're new here, we had our annual 4th of July, Christmas in July swap. This was the first year Juan was included on this one, so it kind of changed the dynamic. We kind of lowered our budget slightly, not that much. That way each of us can buy 2 books, one for each person in the swap. And I think we did pretty well this year. But where do you boys want to start?
I want to start off with a good morning.
Good morning.
We usually do not record before noon, so this is pretty cool.
Yeah, dude, that's what happened. Like a bum knee does to you. You go a little too hard running routes. You got nothing to do on a Sunday morning.
Yeah, the boys is getting old, so we're recording early. Early bird gets the worm.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. Well, I've got kids. That makes a difference.
But I guess to start, maybe we bring it back to CherryCon because unfortunately we weren't able to record the day of CherryCon and we weren't able to record the day of the swap. So this is kind of like an episode where we can include the events of those two things plus your guys' trip to Ben's. But the CherryCon comes first, so it was something we wanted to do prior to the pandemic. The pandemic canceled the whole event for us. We even had hotel tickets, but this time we got an Airbnb. Us three went all the way up to Traverse City and had a guys trip. So it wasn't just comics. It was just us three having fun, but we definitely hit the con 2 times.
Con twice, and we went to the comic shop once.
And I'll say this, there was a little bit of drama. Was it the first or the second day of the con?
That was the first day.
The first day.
Yeah.
Right, you're talking about the guy who was Tweak. Talking about Tweak.
Yeah, Tweak.
Yeah, Tweak could have got reported. We didn't snitch, but Berger made this excellent comic deal. And he had the books in his hands. The guy agreed on the price. Berger gave the guy the
money.
cash.
Yeah, money had been exchanged already.
Money had already been exchanged. And Berger and I were just loitering because we were waiting for Juan because Juan was digging up all kinds of stuff. And he had like a whole short box worth of comics he was about to buy from this guy. So we wanted to hang out. And Tweak randomly came back to Berger 10 minutes after the cash exchange and said, actually, I gave you the wrong price. I want these books back, which is crazy. That is such an unethical business move. Even if you like quoted the wrong price, you need to own up to that and just take the loss.
He got a little mad too that like I didn't correct his price, which I was just standing there just trying to like not care because I was having a good time. And I'm just like, well, you're the businessman, dude. Like, I'm the buyer. Like, you tell me what it goes for. And I double checked with him every step of the way. I'm like, this much for these books. And he says, yes. And I says, well, okay, I'll do that. And then, yeah, he comes up. And then, I mean, to be fair, which unethical, I should have just stuck it to him. But he did misprice the books quite a bit to where he would have lost like a sick book for like no reason. And I was just like, whatever, man. That guy ain't going to cut it in the long run, anyways. He's probably going to be scrounging outside the gas station before long because he has no business savvy. So good luck to
No
you if you hear
business
it.
savvy. Yeah, no business savvy, and he had no clue what he actually had in
No.
terms of comic books.
And that's why I ultimately wasn't mad because my biggest two pickups of the con were a first Rip Hunter from Showcase 20 and a nice copy of the first appearance of the Metal Men in Showcase 37. And they were well below market prices. So that's why I wasn't that upset that he wanted like the Iron Fist back. Because I was, deliberating between that or some other book. Because he had like a buy 2 or 3, get 1 free promotion going on. And
Which he was not tracking. He was not tracking that shit at all.
No.
Which is the annoying part. Like, he had no system in place to actually run that deal effectively because he was just like over medicated or like too many cheap drugs because he could not, like, his composure was like gone.
No, dude couldn't do like mental math at all, which is how we got into my problem in the first place. So,
honestly, though, you were very professional, Burger, because if it were me, I would have said, I don't know you.
That's my purse. I don't know you. And you kick him in the nuts.
Yeah, I mean, the book's already in your hand. The cash was already in his hand.
Yeah.
And the guy started not literally crying, but he's like, I swear I'll give you the cash back. Just give me the books back, which is crazy. I don't see that at any comic dealer ever. Not just a con, but just like in general. Like, how can you just lose track of $100? Anyway, though, the con was interesting. There were bigger books than I expected. Actually, I actually came home with a Moon Knight, a 4.5 CGC. It's an ugly 4.5, but it's a 4.5. Very fairly priced. I mean, all the big books were fairly priced there, which I didn't think there would be many big books. So that was cool, but there were less vendors than I thought there would be. It's definitely transitioned to just a showroom for other stuff. So that was a little disappointing because I remember like when we went back in 2013 or whatever year that I went for the first time, and it seemed like there were better vendors for like dollar books and just comic book stuff in general, but this felt more of like a cosplay event. So we definitely spent time there, but we didn't spend our whole vacation there.
No.
But I mean,
honestly, the cosplay wasn't even that good.
No, it wasn't. But I got my Moon Knight. Berg got his Metal Men. Do you want to tell everybody what you got at the Cherry Con one?
Well, I think my biggest book was the Batman 251, famous Neil Adams cover where Joker transitions from comical clown to like psychopathic, murderous, the character that we all know now, basically.
Yeah.
Right. So, and then I picked up, actually, I had bundled that with an X-Men 100.
Nice one.
And so, yeah, I know that Berger was eyeing that book.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw them both together. It was the same vendor, and I was just pulled the trigger immediately. So
smart. And you got a Howard the Duck.
I already had one, but I couldn't pass up another one.
No.
And from the Tweak collection, I found a bunch of Dave Stevens comics, which were really hot at the time. They probably still are. And then on closer inspection at the Airbnb, I noticed that the Seduction of the Innocent comic looks like it has an authentic Dave Stevens autograph on the front.
Hell yeah.
I was about to tell Juan to just completely just not buy stuff from that vendor, like bankrupt this guy, but like he actually didn't know what he had. And I mean, Juan stayed focused despite the drama and just picked up a short box worth of stuff from that guy.
Facts.
Yeah. Well, hopefully I ripped him off in your defense.
Yeah, I hold no ill will. I got the books I needed off of him for still below market, so like we're cool.
That's the thing. Like it would have been worse if like it ended up like we got screwed over. But ultimately he got screwed over. He didn't get screwed over as badly as he deserved to, given the fact that he showed up to a comic convention ill prepared to sell comics.
Yeah, he was really trying hard to screw himself and
Right, right.
like in front of everyone, we just like made him tone it down a little bit because didn't rob him blind, but we took like what good stuff he had.
Yeah,
I don't know. I wonder how he did the rest of con, especially considering I mean it didn't seem like the environment for like a lot of comic buyers, you know what I mean? Like there was like really like three booths that were like consistently having decent keys that would kind of refresh. And unfortunately,
yes,
Tweak was like kind of one of them. The one where you guys got your X-Men, your Batman, and your Moon Knight up at the front, they were good. And then Homeboy in the back. But then the other
yeah.
people were very hit or miss.
Yeah, to Joe's point, like the books were better than I was expecting, but there was nothing like phenomenal, right?
Yeah.
I feel like Big Ben's has phenomenal books, and we'll get to that in a minute. But
Yeah.
I am happy with there was some like more like sort of like unique books, I would say, because I picked up some like Cherry Pop Tart adult comics
Yeah.
and I picked up that creepy #1. So I was happy about that stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, you got to figure too, we kind of like pre-gamed before going to con. We went to this comic book shop, like the only game in town, and they had great stuff too, honestly. Like wall books just sitting in bins up on the back
Yeah.
wall. Those were pretty sick to look through. It's kind of tough not to blow our load there before going to con.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
interesting because there's not too many stores that have like $200 books sitting in their back issues.
No,
right.
granted, I only spent like I don't know, like $20 there, but like I was able to find like the first appearance of the Rogues Gallery for the Flash there, and it's like that was literally a book. I was like, I want to get that at con if they have one. It's not like high grade by any means, but I was like, cool, book I wanted's here, and that was before we even went into con.
I'm the worst collector because I just pick up a bunch of cheap $1 to $10 books that I don't even need to. I don't know. I ended up blowing
You
past
got to
my
build the
budget.
wall.
Yeah, I gotta build. Yeah, I gotta make sure the wall is secure. Needs to be reinforced occasionally.
Hell yeah. Did you guys get anything crazy at the shop? A little
Uh,
removed now. I'm
No.
having a hard time remembering.
I
Yep.
got that dinosaur issue.
Oh, Sauron?
Yeah, I got that Sauron, but it was all wrinkly, so it is what it is. But it was like $50, so I'm just like, I ain't gonna blow my load here, but I am gonna pick up some things while I'm here.
Dinosaurs do rule. But yeah, I mean, it was a successful trip overall. I mean, especially for us to like want to go, forces of nature and the government telling us not to, and then being able to all those years after. I think it was a successful trip, especially because we got to, bro down. Our Airbnb was pretty sick. Had some cool ice cream and pizza from the gas station. Played some games down in the weird basement thing. Had a bonfire. It was a good time.
It was a really good time. Yeah, it was interesting. There was a local gas station where we got most of our food, and the guy was arguing with us because we wanted the Moomers ice cream that is
Yeah,
only
dude.
unique to up north, and he kept telling us that we can get way more ice cream for that same price, and we're like, we don't want the cheap ice cream that we can get down south. Like, I want the Moomers.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, he kept trying to talk us out of
Okay.
it, but the boys still had a really nice time. I mean, I did anyway.
Wait, what was and we set up that Netflix account.
Oh yeah, the
The
Vortex Alliance.
You gotta tell that story.
So the Vortex Alliance, well, when ChatGPT was like first coming out, I got bored one day and I started playing on it. And I have like this whole like dedicated friends and guests of the pod like story, like superhero story of like Joe and I, and then like later on Joe, like it's a full fleshed out story, and then later on like Juan and Ted and other friends of ours end up getting introduced to the fray, and they all get their own individual superpowers, but they come in as like a Justice League like parallel known as the Vortex Alliance, and we started cracking up about it, and then we had to find something to watch on Netflix, but we, didn't want to go on somebody else's account, so naturally we made our own profile as the Vortex Alliance and then just left it there.
Well, but right, because somebody it was Airbnb and someone had logged into their Netflix account and it hadn't logged out.
Yeah.
And so we weren't malicious. We just we wanted to watch Netflix. So instead of watching, what was it, Tires, one of the already available profiles in the person's account, we created the Vortex Alliance.
Yeah, dude, we did it for good. We didn't want to mess up their algorithm.
Right.
Which proves that
Exactly.
this is the superhero group.
Yeah, dude. Lawful good.
Although we were quickly dispatched a day later.
Wow.
Yeah, but overall, a great trip. I have no
Yeah.
complaints. There was a lot of driving, and know
Sorry.
if it's appropriate, but Juan turned 50, so there was a lot to celebrate that weekend.
Oh
Hell
yeah. Yep. That the trip actually ended with a surprise birthday party. So thank you both for that.
And Joe is the only one who showered before it.
Right. Right. It could have been like, hey dudes, take a shower.
Juan and I rolling up stanky.
Dude, I don't think about y'all smell, so I was just taking care of myself.
We had that comic musk coming out of our pores.
Yeah,
I was like,
mean,
yeah, I'll
everybody
get
knew.
home, I'll shower, I can like chill and roll up. There's like 50 people at my house.
Yeah, dude, roll up smelling like back issues.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
I had one of those like
Feeling
rotary reusable shopping bags full.
Yeah, dude, you
But-
had stacks.
but I guess chronologically moving to the next thing, do you boys want to talk about your bench trip?
Yeah, it's time for you to butt out, guy.
Yeah, well, I will say this. I mean, I went to Ben's a week before the big 40th anniversary, and they had this awesome copy of the Sentinels for $200, and I thought about it, but they also had a Star Wars issue 1 for $50 sitting in the bin, and I don't know if that was in preparation for the event, but I was just like, well, what's $50? And got me an issue 1 of Star Wars because I sold my copy towards my Supergirl like 5+ years ago, but that's the extent of my visit. If you guys want to relay your story.
Yeah, to just kind of piggyback off you because you mentioned that nice copy of the Sentinels for 200. I actually came and rolled in with Juan, met up there day of. It was buy two, get one, everything in the store except for like sealed trading cards, which I don't think any of us were after. But that meant wall books, slabs, everything. Didn't matter. Just cheapest books free. So I roll up. I don't know exactly what I was going to do. I was hoping to find a Days of Futures Past that I had left in the bins that was like 130 for a few weeks, but then ultimately decided upon upgrading my copy of the Sentinels because it was such a glaring value, especially when they had like a 4.0 for like 300 in the slab, and this one looked nicer. So I bought that. I got a Journey into Mystery. It's got Mad Merlin on the cover. I think it's like 95 or 96. Not like a major key by any means. And then I was able to get a first appearance of Sauron for myself for free. So pretty solid day. And to preface this, I might have gone a little bit harder, but earlier in that week, I also made a trade and cash deal for my childhood Pokemon collection, my original copy of Gorilla Grodd, and my Iron Man and Namor or Submariner 1, and some cash for an upgrade of my Flash 106 first appearance of Gorilla Grodd, which is a way nicer copy than the one I had originally. So I couldn't go as crazy on the 40th sale, but getting the Gorilla Grodd earlier in the week kind of made up for it. But Juan here, he had himself a day.
Yeah, I'm just gonna back up slightly because the sale had been promoted on social media for like a few weeks beforehand.
Yeah.
And so and they weren't like dropping all the details at once, so it kind of was like teasing a little bit.
Yeah, dude.
And then when we saw the buy two get one, I was like, okay, like
Have to.
you have to, right? Like that, you can't pass that sale up because
I'm losing money not going.
Right. The shop basically has the goods. And so actually, because you both had been up there, I think Andrew had texted me
Yep.
or texted us that there was a House of Secrets 92.
Yep.
For how much was it? It was cheap, right?
It's like
was
200.
Was it
between-
even that much?
Maybe not.
I think maybe it was like maybe it was like 225. It was ridiculously priced.
Facts. Should be at least double.
So I went up there and was like so excited because I don't have one. Well, I didn't have one. And I'm looking everywhere and they're like, the guys who are working there are like, oh, we don't see it. But and I was like, it's gotta be here. My buddy texted me, he said he saw it.
He knows.
And the last box they looked in and the last comic in that box, they pulled it out. And I was like, okay,
yes.
score. I felt so much better. So I dropped money the day before the sale on that, and I think my copy, I think about a slab, first appearance of Sauron. And then I think my wife was like, "Okay, we're good, right?" And I was like, "No, I'm going back tomorrow." And I started off kind of like not spending too much. I think I was like trying to do like two $100 books or like 150 range kind of,
Yeah.
right? So spend about 300, get a book for 150.
Yeah.
But
Reasonable.
that did not happen.
No.
Because then the owner started pulling out books that
Crazy.
were like, yeah. So
Crazy raw stacks of good books, dude.
I mean, one of them was Hulk 181, and I already have a Hulk 181 raw.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I'll speak to this in a second. The copy at Ben's was decent, right? It's probably like a 3.5, maybe
Yeah.
4. It's got a couple creases, but it's like complete and looks good. And he says 700, where $700?
I think he says 8, and then you look down at him and you ask me, you're like, what about this staple here? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. And then you look back at him as he's sitting there and you're like, I don't know, with the staple, I could probably do about 5. And then he looks at you and he's like, yeah, we all could. And then and I'm like, damn, Juan. So then, like, I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing. So me and Jazz are hiding by the Batman back issue bins, and I'm trying to figure out my game, like my game plan, while Juan's like out up there haggling with him. Then Juan comes back there, and the three of us are just standing there, and I'm like, 800 for that book is such a steal. I was like, it was complete. It had the stamp, it had everything, and Juan starts doing his research. And we're like, oh, holy shit. Like a 0.5's going for 1,500. I'm like, oh, well, I mean, I was like, that's a good deal. I was like, you ain't going to find a raw copy for under $1,000. And then, I was kind of being devil's advocate, being a little naughty boy. Because like Juan said, he's going to spend 300. Now he's spending 8 on one book, maybe. And I'm like, but like the value's there. I mean, who just presents a raw copy with the stamp that's complete and attached for less than $1,000 nowadays? You know what I mean? Insane value.
I think in the condition, it's probably more like a $2,000 book.
Yeah, it's nice.
I'm surprised you didn't jump on that burger.
Like I said, I had just gotten a Gorilla Grodd. I had just upgraded Sentinels. It's kind of good I didn't, because now I got medical bills coming, so maybe let's hang out.
I mean, like, I don't want to drop 800 on any given day on a comic book, but in the same breath, like, if you find a Wolverine under $1,000 and it's complete and attached,
thing is,
you ask
for
Jazz forgiveness and permission.
Yeah, but Jazz was like a witness. Like, she was literally like touching me. Like, I'm like, I can't. Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, she's literally right here. I can't just drop 800 after I just got a Gorilla Grodd upgrade. Come on.
Yeah.
On paper, though, it made sense. Like, any normal time, like if I didn't go ham at con and then every week up until this sale, might be a different story. But I made my choices, so Juan ended up being the victor of that.
Yeah. What else did you? What did you guys get?
Well, all right. I'll tell you what else I got, but really quickly, at the end of the day, after we conferred in the back bins, there was no way we could leave that book.
No.
At the store at that price.
No, one of us has to leave with it.
Right. And was it 8 or so? Anyway, it was a great price.
Yes.
And the second book that I picked up was a slab X-Men 94 6.0 for 5. And it looks beautiful.
Cool ass book.
And that was a book I never thought I would buy because it's always so expensive. So expensive. But with the sale, I was able then to get a really clean, beautiful, maybe near mint copy of X-Men 64 for Sunfire. So that was my freebie book for 500.
That thing's immaculate.
It is. It really is. And then my other 3 books, because I just couldn't help myself, was an X-Men 121, slab 7.5. So now we're talking like 130 range. And then the other book I bought for 130 was Amazing Spider-Man 42, right? So first Mary Jane, and then Amazing Spider-Man 61 with Gwen Stacy on the cover. Great deal. I was very happy with all that.
Yeah, I mean, you made out really well. You saved a lot on those with those freebies, especially. And I think even without like the freebies, those were all such good values that like you nailed it.
Yeah.
Word.
Yeah.
Well, going into our last event, 4th of July, all
Yeah.
three of us
Yeah.
together again.
I hobbled up there. We had to do our swap that day.
Yeah, so
And
Christmas in July. We started at the actual con talking about adding a third person for the first time, and that's what the holiday's about, including more people. I don't care what the budget is. It was really cool to get somebody else involved in the holiday, and I think it might have been the best year yet for me anyway.
yeah, Joe's all giddy over here. I mean, I made out pretty well myself. I'm pretty happy. But Joe was ear to ear when he opened up his.
Man, books I've been wanting since I've been a collector. So Berger was nice enough to get me the first appearance of Yu Yu Hakusho, something
Okay.
that I probably would have found difficult to buy on my own, but Berger's really good with the yen.
Yeah,
And
dude.
Juan got me the book. I even referenced at con multiple times. Like I was kind of going to that con hoping I'd take that book home. And he got me the first Hulk annual, first giant size, that really cool cover, Steranko cover of Hulk versus the Inhumans. And that and the Kingpin issue, the first appearance of Kingpin, I saw very early as a collector, and I've always wanted those two books, and now I have those two books. So thank you to the both of you. I mean, they were very not only on brand, but very sentimental to me.
Hell yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, I made out pretty well too. Joe was so kind as to get me an Amazing Spider-Man 78, the first appearance of Hobie Brown the Prowler. Slipped off my radar somehow because you know me, I've been trying to get every Spider-Man villain and like basically key that I could find and nailed it. So I'm glad that I was able to expand that. I mean, especially with him being in the Spider-Verse and like I don't see the Prowler going away anytime soon. Very cool book. And then Juan, completely different vibe, but ultimately fits the bill very well. Showcase 80 from DC Comics, the first Silver Age appearance of the Phantom Stranger. Super sick. Phantom Stranger's so like mysterious and stuff, and I'm a sucker for a showcase book, especially after getting a couple showcase books at con. I've actually got a nice little run of Silver Age DC like keys now. So I'm very thankful. Thanks, boys.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you guys both liked your books. I had an amazing time. Thanks for inviting me into the circle. Andrew ended up getting me in Avengers #9, the first appearance of Wonder Man,
Hell yeah.
which I really appreciate. I love old Silver Age Marvel books, and that fits the bill. And I think it might be my first single digit Avengers book. So
Sick.
I'm very happy about that. And then Joe got me a four color 1173 first appearance of the Twilight Zone in comic books, which is very cool. In fact, I've been watching Twilight Zone every night as I go to sleep. I love that show. I love the stories. And so I'm looking forward to cracking the book and reading that story and or stories, see what the comic version has to offer. So thank you both. I love both books. I really appreciate it. And I love doing the swap.
Anytime, and I'm glad you like the holiday, and we'll be doing this moving forward too, the three of us. Yeah, I don't know, the Twilight Zone. One of the first times Juan came back to Michigan when he moved to Kalamazoo. I remember him showing me Twilight Zone for the first time, and I was trying to think about books that Juan doesn't own, and I was just like, well, that's kind of off the beaten path. So I think that made sense. And then my man Berger has that Spider-Man collection down to a science. And I was just like, well, this is another brick in the wall.
Hell
And
yeah.
yeah, I just wanted to make sure my guys were good. So
Yeah.
So now I can't buy any comic books for the rest of the year.
Mhm.
I've gone overboard, which is not true. I'll end up buying books, but
well
it's going to
said.
be really hard to do given how much I've spent already. So
No, I feel the sentiment quite a bit myself. So we
yeah,
did good work so far this first half of the year. I'm sure we'll take a brief little siesta there and then we'll get back to it.
And it
Uh
was
yeah,
nice too, because Traverse City and the 4th of July, all three of us got to hang out, and not just in the comic book sense, but in general. So
yeah,
it's been good hanging out this summer.
Facts.
yeah, exactly. And hopefully I'll get this collection under control and I can sell a bulk of it and then maybe get a big book. So I don't know. X-Men
Cool.
#1's on my radar.
Yeah, now we're talking. Well, next time we come through, I'm ready to help sort and pull keys and figure out what's going on in those bins.
Come through.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
gonna be a
Yeah.
team effort for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, boys ain't doing nothing today. That could be an episode in itself, but between those three events, I think bases are covered.
Cool. And if you're new here, here's the spiel. If it's old hat for you, you can go ahead and skip. But CBJ Pod on Instagram, hit us up there. Best way to find us, see what we're posting, pictures of the books that we swapped for each other. Those will be coming up eventually, probably by the time you hear this. Other pickups we're getting throughout the week or months or years, what have you. Put those up there. CBJ Pod, rate, review, subscribe. We greatly appreciate it. Feeds the algorithm, helps us find more junkies to spread the good word with. And other than that, we appreciate you listening, and we'll catch you again next time.
Thank you, Juan, for showing up again.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, CBJ Junkies. Till next time.